To escape her uncle's dark criminal underworld, Jian, burdened with secrets, assumed a new identity and retreated to a remote island. There she met Yujin, a plain-spoken youth with mysterious undertones. Her tranquil life fell apart completely on a boat trip back to the island. That night, Jian chanced upon Yujin smuggling firearms and negotiating with clients on an illegal hit website. Doubts about him immediately flooded her mind. After Yujin evaded inspection by the coastal patrol, Jian hurried home. She tried to log into her uncle's illicit website to verify her suspicions, only to find the site had been shut down. Yujin rushed over to explain himself. Jian hid a gun behind her back, pretending to be calm, yet she was consumed by fear that her whereabouts had been exposed. She began packing her luggage to leave the island at once. After regaining her composure, she rummaged through a backpack left by a friend and discovered several miniature cameras hidden inside. Determined to uncover the truth, she secretly installed the cameras on Yujin's boat. The following night, the footage captured a crucial scene. Yujin met with a captain who was smuggling refugee children into the country. One of the children sustained an injury. Terrified of being arrested, the captain planned to throw the child into the sea to silence them. Yujin firmly opposed the plan and insisted on taking the child to receive medical treatment. Enraged, the captain attempted to attack Yujin. At this critical moment, Jian arrived just in time and kicked the captain away. Taking advantage of the rough sea winds, she used her professional skills to administer emergency first aid to the injured child. Later, the child was safely reunited with their mother, who had arrived in South Korea earlier. Yujin finally breathed a sigh of relief. Later that day, Yujin explained his actions to Jian. Under South Korean law, only parents of foreign refugees are permitted entry. That was why he occasionally sailed out to bring children over so they could reunite with their families. Jian asked about the firearms he had tossed into the sea that night. Yujin replied that smuggling the guns and messaging clients were tasks the captain had asked him to carry out. He had not known the cargo consisted of weapons. Still, Yujin promised he would turn himself into the authorities. Nevertheless, Jian remained wary of him. In the days that followed, an awkward tension hung between them. They avoided eye contact whenever they met. One day, Jian asked the elderly women on the island why they all called Yujin their son. They told her Yujin was an orphan who had been raised collectively by the island's elders. When he grew up, he chose to stay on the island to repay their kindness. To the grandmothers, Yujin was just like their own flesh and blood. Yujin slowly reached out to Jian again and handed her a slip of paper carrying the trading account and password given by the captain. He did not know how to complete identity verification, so he asked Jian for help. Moved by his sincerity, Jian let down her guard and invited him to have barbecue. Bathed in the evening sunlight, Yujin placed grilled meat onto Jian's plate. Jian extended an olive branch in return. She said she would keep silent about his activities and urged him not to surrender himself. Yujin thanked her repeatedly, and Jian told him never to take such dangerous risks again. Yujin agreed and asked about her secrets, especially the traps she had set around her yard. Jian confessed that people were hunting her, and she kept running every day to prepare for emergencies. For some reason, she could open up freely in front of Yujin. After their heartfelt talk, Yujin accompanied her for daily runs without fail and brought her side dishes made by the island grandmothers. Thanks to Yujin, Jian gradually settled into life on the island and began to smile. Sometimes she even turned off her surveillance cameras and let her guard down completely. When she was with Yujin, Jian felt like an ordinary young girl. They fished and sold goods together, and she would hold him tightly from the back of his motorcycle. On one quiet night, Jian said she envied Yujin. Though he shared no blood with the grandmothers, he received their wholehearted love. By contrast, even though her uncle cared deeply for her, she often felt like a burden to him. Upon hearing this, Yujin took her hand. The past is behind you. At the very least, you have my affection here. Jian did not pull away her hand. The two, swept up in their feelings, officially started dating. Tragically, danger and death arrived unexpectedly. Several foreigners learned about the bounty on Jian's head and tracked her down to the island. Following Jian's prompt, Yujin ducked. Jian rushed forward and knocked one assailant to the ground. Then the two fled toward her house. Jian activated the traps she had set, blasting the pursuing attackers away. She grabbed a gun and hid in the monitoring room. She successfully trapped another pursuer using rat traps. Before hiding under a table alongside Yujin, the last two enemies aimed their guns straight at them. Their lives hung in the balance. Suddenly, the two hunters were eliminated one after another. Jian stood up and saw an old acquaintance, Minhui, an invincible assassin, had come to rescue her. Now that her hiding place was exposed, Minhui planned to take her away to meet her uncle Jinwan. Before Jian left, Minhui's men warned Yujin to keep everything he had witnessed a secret. Once Jian departed, Yujin must never see her again. Jian tried to speak to Yujin, but he remained utterly shaken. It was only then that he realized how many secrets Jian had been hiding all along. That night, Yujin left in a hurry. Jian attempted to chase after him, only to be stopped by Minhui, who warned her not to let her emotions cloud her judgment. Still reeling from the sudden twist of fate, Jian struggled to accept reality. She had resolved to spend ordinary, peaceful days on this island, leaving all bloodshed behind. Yet now, it seemed she had no choice but to surrender to her destiny. Before leaving, she simply wanted to finish the meal the island grandmothers had prepared for her, cherishing one last taste of being an ordinary girl. Meanwhile in Seoul, Jinwon and his accomplices hid inside a freight carriage. For days, they had struggled to decode the server data stolen from Babylon, making barely any progress, while Jinwon worried endlessly about his niece. His hideout had already been exposed to their enemies. The new minister of Babylon refused all cooperation with Jinwon and intended to capture him alive. That night, he dispatched elite agents including Bell to hunt him down. Accompanying Bell was a skilled mercenary from Babylon's Japanese branch. Over a decade ago, this man had been rescued by Jinwon during a deadly mission in Japan. Now, under the new minister's orders, he was forced to stand against his savior. Bell and the Japanese mercenary closed in through the darkness. Yet Jinwon had long prepared for their arrival. He ordered his allies to release smoke bombs and launch ambushes one by one within the fog. As the smoke cleared, the carriage appeared empty. While the two intruders ventured inside to investigate, Jinwon's teammates eliminated the enemies stationed outside and tossed grenades into the carriage, instantly wounding one foe. In the pitch darkness, Bell and the injured Japanese mercenary ventured deeper into the carriage. At last, Jinwon emerged from hiding and engaged both of them in a fierce battle. The minister oversaw the operation remotely, strictly ordering them to capture Jinwon alive. Defying the command, Bell fired wildly at Jinwon without restraint. The Japanese mercenary tried to stop her, only to be brutally slit throat and killed by Bell. Engulfed in darkness, Bell put on night vision goggles and charged at Jinwon, fighting with a knife in one hand and a gun in the other. Despite her ferocity, Jinwon outmatched her in combat skills. Cornered and defeated, Bell still spewed arrogant threats. Calmly, Jinwon pressed the detonator in his hand. In an instant, Bell's night vision device exploded, blasting one of her hands crippled and leaving half her face covered in blood. Without hesitation, Jinwon fired multiple shots, finally eliminating his relentless nemesis. Though Jinwon emerged victorious, his niece Jian was about to face a brutal battle of her own. That night, Yushin sat sorrowfully by the riverside, only to spot a troop of mercenaries heading straight for the island, clearly coming for Jian. He rushed back at once to warn her. Upon hearing the news, Minhui told Yushin to take Jian to the dock first while she and her teammates stayed behind to stall the enemies. Jian rode off with Yushin, while Minhui's group launched a fierce offensive against the approaching forces. Leading the enemy troop was the elder sister of the deceased Japanese mercenary, now the captain of Babylon's Japanese division. Decisive and ruthless, she used detection equipment to track Jian's escape route toward the dock and gave immediate chase. Familiar with every stretch of the island's terrain, Yushin raced through the hail of gunfire to protect Jian. From the back of the car, Jian aimed and shot down one pursuer, yet the enemy's firepower was far too overwhelming. Just before reaching the port, the captain's bullet shattered their car tire. The vehicle spun out of control, sending Yushin and Jian tumbling to the ground. In that desperate moment, Yushin ignored his injuries and shielded Jian with his body. To their horror, the boat they had planned to escape on exploded violently right on the sea surface. The captain cornered Jian, threatening to kill her boyfriend if she refused to surrender and follow her. At the critical moment, Minhui arrived and engaged the captain in a gunfight. Seizing the chance, she crashed into the captain with a motorcycle, knocking her unconscious. Jian picked up a gun and eliminated the surrounding enemies. Yushin hurriedly dragged her onto his boat to escape. The captain soon regained consciousness, hopped on a motorcycle, and chased them down, leaping onto the deck before the boat could sail far. Minhui confronted the captain, the two clashing fiercely with perfectly matched combat skills. Locked in a deadlock, watching for an opening, Jian told Yushin to steer left sharply. As the boat swerved abruptly, the unbalanced captain lost her footing and fell into the sea. Even after being driven ashore, the captain refused to admit defeat and ordered her men to block the boat's escape route. Having never witnessed such brutal warfare, Yushin's hands trembled uncontrollably. Jian leaned gently against his back, overwhelmed with guilt for dragging him into her bloody, doomed fate. Yet Yushin spoke softly as always, reminding her that he had long promised to protect her. With tearful eyes, Jian kissed him tenderly. In the next second, enemy missiles struck, triggering violent explosions all around the boat, accompanied by relentless gunfire. Shielding Jian with his body, Yushin was severely wounded. Lying dying, he whispered Jian's name, grateful that a simple island nobody like him had once gotten to love her. Watching Yushin take his last breath, Jian completely broke down. The ordinary, peaceful life she had spent so long chasing had shattered completely. Amid desperate, weeping cries, she called out repeatedly for her uncle Jinwon. As if bound by telepathy, a helicopter appeared overhead the very next instant. Firing fiercely at the enemy from the cabin was none other than her uncle, Jinwon.